I'm always interested.
I can look like Spock one day. I can look like I'm from the 90s and they're like thin and little. And then sometimes they get all curly and long and they tickle my nose.
Oh, they tickle they tickle your nose. When they get to the point where they're tickling your chin, then you need to do
Rethink
something about
things.
it. Yeah.
Because that's what's been wrong this whole time of my
This
life.
whole time.
Hi, Kate.
Hi, Dom. How do you do?
I do good.
Oh, that's
Welcome.
excellent. Welcome to yourself. Welcome to you.
Oh my goodness. I've had a couple of drinks in the park today, so she's a
How
bit
was
loose.
that?
Loosey goosey.
It was very nice weather today.
Mm.
It is a pubic holiday for us recording today. When this is released, it won't be, but that's fine. Guys, this is the internet. It happens in weird times. Relax. We're not in the position to live record at this point. It is a day off. Dom, you drank in the park?
Yes,
Fab.
drinking in the park to commemorate Anzac Day.
Yes, exactly right. So it is a day for us to remember those that have served and that are still serving in Australia and New Zealand Armed Forces. So it's been a big weekend of football. I love AFL football and they do a really good job of paying tribute, which I love.
Yes. And Kate, just
Hello.
for folks at home as well, we have an uncle named Leonard Keith Gawley, who was part of the Royal Australian Air Force. And he was born 25th of Jan 1927, and he was born in Benalla, Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that? And he was stationed out in Laverton, headquarters for the RAF. So,
How have I lived for 34 days on this planet and that I don't know that?
yeah. And his wife was Lucy Gawley.
Oh, that's so cute.
So, cheers to Lucy and Leonard.
Cheers, Lucy. Cheers, Leonard.
Here's to you. Okay, Kate.
Ting. Hello.
Shall we do some house in the
Housekeeping.
house,
Housekeeping. 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 For anybody that tuned in last week, we were like, do you know what we'll do next week? We'll do some sort of hip hop thing. But here's the clincher. Dom and I have not spoken about it one lick since we just offhandedly mentioned it. And we still managed to do it, regardless of we didn't plan that at all. I mean, I don't know how you could tell. It sounded very professional, like we'd rehearsed.
We're
But
so committed to you as an audience that we're
yes,
keeping our promises.
we are. We're keeping our words.
Okay, but to the point, housekeeping. As
Yeah.
usual, folks, please go check out all of our wonderful socials on Instagram and TikTok at shitting.bricks.podcast.
Easy.
Easy, so easy.
So easy.
And while you're at it, why not show us how much you love us by donating, subscribing to our Patreon? It only costs like a couple of dollars. It's not a lot. It's very cheap.
It's really not. It's not a lot.
Yeah, and it goes a really, really long way. Kate and I don't get paid for this. We do this for the love of it.
We do.
And we both work full time trying to pull this on the side. So a little extra cash just means that we can keep going.
It does. It makes it much easier.
Yeah. And if you've got any complaints, just email us at shitting.bricks.podcast. We will endeavour not to answer them whatsoever.
Correct. We might read it. We might talk about it on air, but we won't. We don't care.
Yeah. And just as a reminder, I think I might start doing this as part of our regular housekeeping.
Uh-huh.
Especially after last week, I made a rather controversial joke about one of the victims. And we love to lighten the mood and process all the very dark things that we explore on this podcast.
Yeah.
By having a laugh.
It's cathartic.
Yeah, and it's not intended to be insensitive. But sometimes we can cross that line in some people's opinions.
Sure.
At the end of the day, this is our podcast.
Yeah, and that's your opinion. And that's fine. You can absolutely have it. No problems at all.
And we're going to keep doing what we're doing.
We are. Exactly. Yeah. Thanks, Tom. Sorry, I've just cut you off.
Not at all.
Because I got really excited. I just wanted to say, because I saw this pop up on our notifications, and is there a boo pod for this week?
There is.
So fantastic.
Boo pod
Yep.
We are going to feature a podcast called Haunted or Hoax,
Mm-hmm.
which is probably one of my favorite, though we're not supposed to have favorites, are we, Kate?
No, we're not. They're like children.
But we do. Well, I
Yeah,
do.
we do. I'm definitely the favorite in my family. Chelsea and Georgia know that very well. So
Uh,
it's not a secret.
Cara Wilkinson posted something on Facebook recently that says otherwise, but
Carol didn't do shit. Georgia had to reset her password. It's all linked into her. So she reset her password and classic 2000s hacked her Facebook.
yeah,
Unreal.
that easy to get control of
Yeah.
Mama Wilkinson.
A, a boomer's Facebook page.
But yes, BooPod Network podcast feature this week is Haunted or Hoax, and it's with Jennifer and Kristen. And is it Kristen or Kirsten? Kristen, because they get mixed up very
Yes,
easily.
very easily.
It is Kristen, I can confirm. And it's like a paranormal podcast on the legends of some of the most iconic haunted sites in the world and all the amazing history behind them. So go give them a listen. And
Yes.
here is their promo.
Boppity boppy.
A boopity bop. Okay, Kate, that
Hello.
is the end
House,
of
keep it, yeah,
House.
yeah. House, keep it, yeah, yeah. House, keep it. Why are we doing this podcast when we could be full-time rappers and beatboxers?
I don't know, because we're not particularly bright people, so.
I have another podcast that I want to give a shout out to just for their name. They joined us, followed us last week. It is the Totally Weird and Twisted podcast, which their tag is the Twat Podcast. And their byline is two amazing twats discuss a plethora of topics, including history, true crime, paranormal, whatever we want to. Relax and enjoy the two twats. So I am a huge fan of the word twat. And as soon as I saw Totally Weird and Twisted podcast, I was like, Totally Weird and Twisted, that sounds cool. And then I saw their handle, which is Twat Podcast. I was absolutely tickled. So I couldn't go this week without mentioning them. And feel free to have a listen to their stuff. I haven't yet, because I only saw them pop up on our Insta, so I haven't actually listened to their gear. But I just wanted to give a shout out for a great name.
We're officially twatters.
We are. We're twatters. We're two twats just twatting about.
What sound does the twat make?
I could do it, but I want to do this one. Going down a slide with no underpants on.
Sorry, folks.
I wanted to do it, but I was laughing too much. So I had my cheeks were too taut. Yeah. Classic. Okay, enough about twats, whatever. I say twat. How do you say twat?
I like the twat.
It's like okay, yeah, it's a bit more Aussie. Twat, you twat, you dumb twat. Twat's probably UK, more UK.
I think it's like the polite way of just being like,
yeah, you absolute twat. Yeah, twat are you saying? All right, into today's episode. Dom, I was just having a bit of a peep online of things that I like to read about. And I thought, do you know what we're going to learn about today? We're going to dive into the world of pharmaceuticals. Now, I should have called you because you are a specialist in this topic, but probably more so for some of the remedies that were introduced in the 1700s and 1800s, which I will talk about and we'll get your opinion of perhaps later. But I always start us off with a phobia. I want to talk to you about pharmacophobia. Pharmacophobia.
With a PH?
Yes, PH. Yeah, pretty hard and tempted. PH, pharmacophobia. In short, pharmacophobia is the fear of medication and any sort of pharmacological treatment.
Wow,
Okay.
there's an actual thing.
Yes. Yeah. So people with pharmacophobia, they might feel nervous or upset seeing or hearing about medication in a variety of settings, from television shows to seeing a pill container in someone's bathroom.
ER's a rule out for them then.
Yeah,
No.
definitely. ER, no bueno. Grey's Anatomy, off the list. Um,
Scrubs?
yeah, probably not. No,
Oh.
no good. Now, pharmacophobia manifests itself differently for each individual depending on what triggers them. For example, having to take drugs regularly can be extremely difficult to deal with for some. For others, the phobia may induce severe panic attacks. The anxiety they're experiencing may be so acute that they require hospitalization. Now,
That sounds like a bit counterproductive.
it does, doesn't it? What? You're afraid of pills and pharmaceuticals? Let's put them in hospital.
Yeah.
they're having a they're having a proper meltdown from seeing medical like,
Yeah.
professionals give people pills. Now, Dom, have you ever heard of the placebo effect?
I sure have.
Have you?
Yes, because in fact, I'm currently part of a medical study.
Are you really?
Yeah. So
You
it's.
live the most wild life. I need to start doing more stuff. I need to start clicking on more random links that pop up on my Facebooks and Instagrams because I got to join this stuff.
No, I don't. I don't entertain those like free shot money. Like
Okay.
this is due to a certain free lifestyle that I live, and
Mhm.
I'm very blessed in the country of Australia of getting a lot of free healthcare, especially
Yeah.
around sexual health, which is not talked about and it's too taboo.
Mhm.
But because if I am ever in need or I'm regularly checked for my sexual health, and if I ever need treatment, it's completely free and covered, no questions asked. So I always offer to participate in any sexual health studies through my clinic
Yeah.
as a way of giving back. That way, better
Nice.
healthcare for everybody. So I'm
Absolutely.
currently on a study, and it's quite possible 50-50 that I was given a placebo or not. And
Okay.
when you do a study, they have to be very clear about what a placebo is, blah, 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 blah. So,
This is
yes.
fascinating. And that's actually perfect for today's episode because there'll be some things perhaps later I'll talk about. And do chime in with some of your experiences based on you doing an actual clinical trial right now. Oh, what a world to be in. Now, placebos is basically, as Dom alluded to, that it's when you are, told you're going to give a form of medication that's going to help you, that's going to make you feel better, but you're really just being given sugar pills. Now, people with pharmacophobia have the exact opposite of that. It's called the nocebo effect. So you are prescribed medication, legit meadows, that your doctor warns you about some possible side effects. The nocebo effect can cause people with pharmacophobia to have a negative reaction to a drug just because they think they're going to. It can outweigh the benefits of the drug. So
Wow.
you have heard of the saying mind over matter. For
Yep.
some people, merely thinking about a side effect can cause unfavorable symptoms. It's
Yep.
difficult because, on one hand, you want to take the medication to feel better, but then knowing about the side effects makes you more afraid to take them. And
Yeah.
then you start taking the meds, and then you're super extra conscious about how your body adjusts to them. And it like messes you up.
This is so
The
fascinating.
nocebo effect. Now, although thinking positively is great, it can also be unrealistic all the time because shit happens. That's the world we live in.
Yeah.
But trying to be generally upbeat about treatments and medications will help. The brain can change the way that nerve cells communicate by emitting chemicals called neurotransmitters that are attached to molecules on neurons known as receptors. So, positive thinking actually has a physical effect.
Okay. I need to play this episode to my partners because they read me sometimes for like, Dominic, positive thinking doesn't actually have any impact whatsoever. And I'm like, no, you need to think that you're getting better. Like
Correct.
just lie to yourself, folks.
Yes, correct. Lie to yourself in it like constantly, and it will help. I am very much a when I get medications and I read the side effects bottle, I'm like,
Mm.
oh well, I don't want to have diarrhea for 6 days. And then sure enough, I'll give myself diarrhea for maybe a day, but it's not actually the meds. It's just because I'm stressed about having diarrhea. So I give myself diarrhea.
Yeah. I mean, Especially when, when you travel in the States and you put on the television and it's like every other ad is a
Yeah,
medication.
correct. Yeah.
Please tell me, why America are you so fucking obsessed with
Oh, it
treatment for everything?
it's crackers, and I will get a little bit. I'll get into that a little bit in this episode.
Okay.
But that is our pharmacophobia, placebo nocebo effects of some medications. So a legitimate phobia that people
Thanks for
can suffer
teaching
from.
me something new, Kate.
Hey,
Love it.
no problems. Absolute joy to do it. Very happy to be here. A couple of things that I'm going to chat about for you around. Oh, I'm going to talk about things. There was a word that popped up, and it's apothecary, and I'm going to say it a few times. So I thought for anyone who doesn't know, it is a place where medicines and drugs were sold and prepared. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you didn't know that, or if you've watched Schitt's Creek, there's the Rose Apothecary, which they don't sell medications, but it was like cute little things, and it sounded nice, and they made cute T-shirts. So
Yeah.
that's fine.
Wine, cheese.
Um, that's right. I couldn't think of any other words that I needed to describe to you or define for you before I started. That was the only one. So, are we good on apothecary?
I think we're good. I feel
Cool.
educated. Thank you.
No problems. Let me dive in. This episode today is called Big Pharma, Little Pharma.
Oh,
And so I'm going to start with Lil Pharma.
okay.
Lil
Got my
Pharma,
pitchfork.
yep. Lil Pharma is a bit about the history of pharmaceuticals and the medicines from whence we eat today. The roots of the pharmaceutical industry, they lie back with apothecaries and pharmacies that offered traditional remedies as far back as the Middle Ages, offering a hit and miss range of treatments based on centuries of folk knowledge. So this stuff just comes out of people's minds until people got the hang of chemicals and stuff. But basically, they're like, yeah, you know what? You should definitely try chewing on glass because I've heard it's really good for a broken leg. I
Yeah.
don't know, like just give stuff a go.
Got a headache? Have a
Yeah,
line of cocaine.
a
What's
boom,
gonna?
just pop it, just pop some ludes, whatever. Now, the industry we understand, as we understand it today, really has its origins in the second half of the 19th century.
Yeah.
Whilst the scientific revolution of the 17th century had spread ideas of rationalism and experimentation, and the Industrial Revolution transformed the production of goods in the 18th century, the marrying of the two concepts for the benefit of human health was comparatively late in development.
Hmm.
So when I was looking at some of these dates, I was like, really? We've only had that medicine for that long? Or it's that they only thought of it then? Wild. Now I'm going to talk about a few different uh, pharmaceutical companies.
Sure.
Just hang in with me with some of
Yeah.
the names. Merck in Germany, massive. Possibly the earliest company to move in this direction in terms of putting those two ideas together,
Hmm.
to scissor those two ideas together. You know how it is.
I love it.
Um, here's the church, here's the steeple.
Steeple over the doors
Doors
and
and here's all the people.
people.
Oh, I think we've all had drinks in the park today. Now, originating, that's the word I was looking for, as a pharmacy founded in Darmstadt in 1668. It was in 1827 that Henrik Emanuel Merck began the transition towards an industrial and scientific concern by manufacturing and selling alkaloids.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, whilst GlaxoSmithKline, that's a name that is still around today, whilst their origins can be traced back as far as 1715,
Sure.
it was only in the middle of the 19th century that Beecham became involved in the industrial production of medicine, producing patented medicine from 1842 and the world's first factory for producing only medicines in 1859. Meanwhile, in the USA, Pfizer, we all should know of Pfizer, they were founded in 1849 by two German immigrants, initially as a fine chemicals business. Their business expanded rapidly during the American Civil War as a demand for painkillers and antiseptics rocketed. Makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. People are getting sliced up and shot with things.
Yep.
Switzerland also rapidly developed a homegrown pharmaceutical industry in the second half of the 19th century. Previously a center of the trade in textiles and dyes, Swiss manufacturers gradually began to realize their dye stuffs had antiseptic and other properties and began to market them as pharmaceuticals, in contrast to the origin in pharmacies of other enterprises. So they were making other stuff. They're making textiles and dyes, and then they were like, oh, I had a really deep cut on my hand, and then I shoved my hand into the vat of dye and it was healed. So they were like, there's something in this. Let's have a look.
That
They
dye's a
would
bit
just
off, but
yeah, it doesn't look great as textiles, but man, it healed my hand. So they, yeah, basically started in a completely different industry and stumbled upon it. Um, Now, Switzerland's total lack of patent laws led to it being accused of being a pirate state. So they're like, they don't have any laws around this, and they're just making like antiseptics out of dye juice. Like, I don't know what they're doing. So
going rogue,
let's keep
Switzerland.
Switzerland on a leash, please, for goodness sake. Now, in the 1900s, which I find this fascinating because we were born in the 1900s, Dom.
No, we weren't.
Well, yes, we were, weren't we? Or does 1900s mean 1801 to 1899? It's
That's
backwards.
correct, yes. So
Oh,
you think of
sometimes
it back
I
as
feel like I was born in the 1900s.
No, but it does seem counterintuitive to be like the 1800s should be 1860, but it's actually that was the previous century. So
I always get caught up on that.
yeah, so
Okay, thank
20th
you.
century was when we were born.
20th Century Fox.
Yeah,
Okay, understood.
we are now in the 21st century, right?
You lost me. I'm not entirely sure what's going on.
Back
Now,
to Switzerland.
back to Switzerland. Back to the 1900s. Now, in the 1900s, guess who turned up? Knock, knock. G'day, it's me, Aspirin. How you going?
Oh, I thought it was Sylvester Stallone or something.
It wasn't. Now, it wasn't just, now I know what you were thinking. You thought it's just those Newtsy Swiss that have got their roots in the dye trade, isn't it? Isn't that what you were
Yeah.
thinking? No, wrong. Bayer was founded in 1863 as a dye maker. It later moved into medicines, commercializing aspirin around the turn of the 20th century, one of the most successful pharmaceuticals ever at that point. The unregulated nature of the trade in medicines during this period ensured that there was a far less strict delineation between pharmaceutical and chemical industries that we have now. So
Yes.
nowadays, there is a fair bit of a distinction between Spotlight and Chemist Warehouse. So textiles and dyes, get your medicine. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
It's a
I
bit of
tried
a
to take some lace and it just
yeah, it
didn't
was
work
weird.
on the headache.
It was so weird.
Buttons?
I sewed 2 gigantic buttons to my nipples and I feel no better. I
Yeah,
mean, I look stunning, but I feel no better.
that broken ankle is not
Very
going to
odd.
cure itself.
Okay, so the pharmaceutical chemical industries back in that day, there was, it was not as clear whether they were making chemicals or pharmaceuticals. Now, these chemicals focused as much on cod liver oil, toothpaste, citric acid for soft drinks, and hair gel as they did on prescription medicines, as well as selling products like heroin on the over the counter market. So
Absolutely.
there's a bit of a, revolution in terms of these medicines that they're creating, particularly something like aspirin. And then they were like, well, it's growing pretty quick and nobody's really stopped to think about, hey, maybe we need to maybe we need to talk about the fact that you're making citric acid for soft drinks and hair gel and then slinging heroin over the counter. We might need to have a meeting. Can we all sit down for a sec?
Things have escalated very quickly. Humans have
Yeah.
been around for 40, 50, 80,000
Years.
years.
Oh, 1,000, yeah, years.
And
Yep.
in 100 years, we've gone from
Yes.
have a button and throw in a quick little sachet of
Yes.
heroin just to...
Tiny little baggie. Okay, so there's a bit happening. The period between 1918 and 1939 was marked by 2 breakthroughs that no, I don't know this word.
Doesn't exist, Kate.
Presaged? What the fuck? I'm looking it up. Hang on 1 minute, please.
Pre-age, like it's pre.
Presaged? Past tense. Past tense.
Mm.
Let me say it to me. Presage. Thanks, lady. She screamed that into my ear, but aside from that, presage. Okay. Well, there you go.
Look at us
To
teaching
be,
each
well,
other English.
I can't help it. This is genuinely what I do with my kids. If I don't know something, I just go, hey, do you know what? I don't know the answer to that. Let's look it up together. And then they're like, oh my God, you're such a dummy. And I'm like, well, you asked me. Still, I know a lot of things. If you want me to give you a rundown of 1980s Michael Douglas movies, I'll do it. Don't ask me what presage means. Okay, 1918, 1939. I digress. I apologize, listeners. There was a
No
lot of things
apologies.
happening. The arrival of the pharma industry as we know it today is here. The first products that they made that was pretty impressive was a little thing called insulin.
Whoa, huge.
Frederick Banting and colleagues managed to isolate insulin that could treat diabetes, which up until that point was a fatal condition.
Hmm.
So there was zero treatments for that. It's like you got diabetes, you die.
Yeah.
Well,
Putting
fetus.
the die in diabetes.
Diabetes, exactly. Now, it was only in collaboration with scientists that they could, they're able to purify the extract and industrially produce and distribute it as an effective medicine. So Frederick Banting was working in the pharmaceutical industry, and then he worked with another scientist and a guy named Eli Lilly, who was in the chemicals industry. So that's where the two partnered together and they go, okay, well, we can make the stuff, but you can produce it on a scale because of
Yeah.
the factory and the stuff that you've got. So that then when they were like, oh, cool, I think we're making the pharmaceutical industry here. I think that's what we're coming towards. The second amazing thing that was created during this time was penicillin. Now, penicillin was a discovery that's, it's had an impact that's unparalleled by any other medicine up
Yeah.
until this point. After Alexander Fleming's initial discovery of the penicillin mold's antibiotic properties in 1928 and Howard Florey and Ernst Chain's further experimentation, a government supported international collaboration, including Merck, Pfizer, and Squibb, worked on mass producing the drug during World War II, saving thousands of soldiers' lives. The
Mm.
immense scale and sophistication of the penicillin development effort marked a new era for the way which the pharmaceutical industry developed drugs. After the war, the arrival of social healthcare systems such as the UK's National Health Service (NHS) that created a much more structured system, both for prescription drugs and their reimbursement. In 1957, the NHS brought in what was essentially a price fixing scheme to allow
Mm.
reasonable return on investment for drug manufacturers, solidifying the incentive to invest in new medicines. The US pharmaceutical industry was booming thanks to being part of the world's biggest and most dynamic economy. Its growth was also helped by generous funding from the government, with the National Institutes of Health seeing its federal funding rise to nearly $100 million by 1956. So $100 million in 1956 is a lot of coin.
Yeah. Imagine, money being primarily spent on healthcare instead of defense.
Drugs or defense. Right. Now, the investment of 100 million by 1956 fueled the development of drugs to come over the coming decades in the
Yeah.
States. Okay. So I, reflecting on this, was like, you know what? Yes, of course, there has to be a balance between pharmaceutical companies getting cash muns for the ability then to develop new drugs. I was like, they're not just getting money for what they've already made. Like it's them putting them in a place to discover the next penicillin or to discover the next aspirin or the next insulin. And, hopefully something around the cancer treatment, other, you know, diseases and conditions that don't have any cure or any treatment at the moment. I
Yeah.
get that. But then, you know, you give a lot of money to some people and maybe they don't make smart decisions.
Yeah.
So I want to share with you now some of the classic FDA approved drugs that hit the market that didn't necessarily help people as much as they thought they might. So this is my
Fascinating.
segment called FDA approved. Welcome. FDA approved. Boop, boop. Here are just a few disastrous FDA mistakes that unleashed harmful drugs into the market. The first drug I'm going to talk about is one made famous in the film Wolf of Wall Street. It is Quaaludes. Quaaludes. Welcome, Quaaludes. Quaaludes were a sedative and a hypnotic. They were used as a sleeping aid between 1962 and 1985, so a long time. They were, in a word, and in every sense of that word, volatile. Many of the helpless insomniacs and anxiety sufferers who took the drug to get some sleep ended up becoming manic, seizing, convulsing, vomiting, and sometimes even dying.
Yep.
So these things are not good.
Great.
And they're on the market from 1962 to 1985. If you weren't manic, seizing, convulsing, vomiting, or dying, or all of the above, then you usually ended up addicted to these things as well. So Quaaludes are now considered a Schedule 1 drug. So Schedule 1 drugs are drugs like heroin and LSD. But even before being approved by the FDA, research pointed to possible issues of dependence and abuse. By the 1970s, Quaaludes have become wildly popular in terms of a street drug. In 1982 alone, there were 2,764 reported emergency room visits as a result of Quaalude use. This is actually a fairly typical story when it comes to opioids. Opioids are downers that have morphine-like effects, for those of you who aren't aware. In fact, morphine and heroin themselves were both once used as pain-reducing wonder drugs, widely accepted, not wildly, maybe wildly, accepted by the medical community and the public at large. Heroin was once even marketed as the safe, non-addictive substitute for morphine in the late 1800s.
Oh, Lordy, hindsight
Yeah,
is quite a thing.
it is. It's 2020.
Mm.
Now, so
Oh,
Quaaludes you cannot get anymore, off the
yeah.
market, not manufactured. And if I go by the logic of the Wolf of Wall Street, you can't get them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure someone can make them at a drop of a hat type thing,
Probably.
but they are not
Someone could
distributed,
probably
made.
3D print them at this stage. Like, isn't that a thing? Can't you just 3D print every shit these days? Those, gosh, put it in chat GPT AI. He'll fix it for you. Welcome to the
You would
future,
like to,
everyone.
you'd like to know how to home manufacture Quaaludes? Ask
Actually,
ChatGPT.
yeah, chat GPT would probably let you know. Probably. Okay, so Quaaludes off the list. The next drug that I want to talk to you about that the FDA approved and that was on the market for a little bit of time is one that is called Darvin or Darvocet. Now,
Darwin.
Darvin, what are you doing here? Darvin, did you bring your little brother Darvocet? Okay, all jokes aside, this drug was on the market for 55 years. So that's a really long time, particularly for what it did. Now, it was an opioid pain reliever. So again, opioids, bad. And while the non-narcotic analgesic with the potency of codeine may have gotten rid of a headache, it was absolutely atrocious for your heart. So that's bad. So you don't have a headache, but your arteries are clogging at a rate of knots.
You
Now,
need your heart, folks.
you do. I'm not a doctor, but I am aware of something along those lines. Now, in creating serious cardiac abnormalities, Darvin or Darvocet was responsible for 2,110 deaths between 1981 and 1999 alone. Now, when it came time to get it off the market, the FDA did a great job of dragging their feet. They were petitioned back in 1978, and then they were petitioned again in 2006.
What?
So, this whole time between 78 and 2006, it's on the market a year after the UK did away with the drug. So the UK have gotten rid of it in 2005, and they're petitioned again to ban Darvocet. In January 2009, an FDA advisory committee voted 14-12 against continued marketing. But when July rolled around, the FDA announced that it would continue to market the drug just with a little more fine print that included risk of fatal overdose.
Oh, just maybe. Just as
But if you put that as fine print on it, then it's fine. We're covered. Don't worry about it. It actually wasn't taken off the market until 2010 when a clinical trial used electrocardiograms to clearly demonstrate just how a standard dose of the pain reliever altered the heart's electrical activity, potentially causing serious or life-threatening arrhythmias. So from 1978, that was the first petition. It wasn't taken off the market until 2010.
that's not long ago,
Cool.
folks.
No, that's not. That's only 13 years ago. So people are still able to get. I could have bought that shit.
Yeah.
I was 18
Yeah.
once. Okay, so that's Darwin Darvis. Darwin Darvis that. God, boy, stop it. The next drug I'm going to talk to you about is PTZ
Okay.
slash
Oh, yeah,
metrazole.
go. No,
Sorry.
you go.
No,
Sorry.
go. That's okay.
Say it again.
PTZ metrazole. PTZ slash metrazole.
Nice. I just wanted, before you do that, I did ask ChatGPT how to make Quaaludes.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What did she say? What did they say?
As an AI language model, I cannot provide instructions for making illegal drugs. It is important to note that the production and distribution of Quaaludes are illegal and can result in serious legal consequences. It also has dangerous effects on the human body, including addiction, respiratory depression, and overdose. Please consider seeking professional help if you or someone you know struggles with drug addiction.
I am so impressed with that response.
Yeah.
Not only did they explain why I'm not going to give you a recipe for lewds, but I'm also going to make sure that you're okay and you're supported. Welcome to our robot overlords. Welcome to the future. I am here for ChatGPT.
Sorry to interrupt you, but
Not at all. Not at all. That was the perfect time because I was just getting on my PTZ slash metrazole bandwagon. And that was an excellent addition. Thanks, ChatGPT. Oh, yep, cool. Can you ask it how to cure a stroke? Okay. PTZ metrazole. Have I said that enough or should I throw in one more time?
Slash.
Slash PTZ slash metrazole was used to provide convulsive therapy. I don't like this. Convulsive therapy to treat schizophrenia and other psychiatric conditions. Originally, it was intended to be a circulatory and respiratory stimulant, but
Mm-hmm.
neurologist and psychiatrist Ladislas J. Meduna discovered that a high dose caused convulsions. So he thought, well, why don't we try and treat schizophrenics with it? Now, as damning as that sounds, for Meduna, convulsive therapy is actually an effective last resort psychiatric treatment that's still used today, which I
Oh,
did not
okay.
know. PTZ slash metrazole has since been replaced by electric shocks as the preferred mechanism for convulsive therapy, a treatment that can effectively induce seizures to provide often temporary relief to people suffering from major depressive disorders, mania, or catatonia.
Oh.
Yeah. I remember seeing one time that a person who was suffering from depression, a depressive disorder,
Hmm.
traveled to, oh gosh, another country. I won't even say what country because I don't know. But they traveled to another country to have convulsive therapy to try to help them because they were going through, they were basically sharing their story of trying to treat their
Yeah.
manic depressive disorder. And that was something they did. Now, it's not like what I have in my mind where you're strapped to it like a bed or something. And it's really aggressive and
Super.
it's like pads on the skin of the face, the head, and it's it'll make the skin sort of jolt and they sort of have a bit of an uncomfortable look on their face. But some
Yeah.
convulsive therapies aren't quite as, in my head, like a full-on electric chair type situation. Still horrendous. They were trying to use this PTZ slash metrazole to treat that. um it was taken off the market after 48 years because it caused uncontrollable seizures, pulled muscles, and spine fractures in an
Oh.
estimated 42% of patients.
Oh.
So only took 48 years for them to get it off the market, but those are some pretty significant side effects, if I'm being honest. Again,
Yeah.
not a doctor, but pretty significant. Okay. There were a few others that I wanted to, that I was going to add in, but to be honest, they were a little bit similar to the ones we were talking about. This one I was fascinated by. Unlike so many other FDA mistakes that went on for years or even decades, Posicor intended to treat high blood pressure and chest pain. Now, it was recalled within a year of its release. From the
Wow.
beginning, yeah, from the beginning, it seemed that the drug was rather temperamental. And they release it. This boggles my fucking brain, guys. Don't. Early clinical research indicated that the drug caused potentially dangerous, irregular heartbeats. It also couldn't be combined with hispanol, which is an antihistamine, propulsid, which is heartburn relief, or Seldane, which is another antihistamine. And fun fact, all of those drugs have also since been discontinued for having risks that outweigh the benefits. Now, Posicor couldn't be combined with these drugs because it reduced the activity of liver enzymes that help the body to process those drugs. The results could be fatal. Now, by the time Posicor was recalled, over 25 drugs were considered dangerous in combination with it. And it was suspected in 100 deaths in the space of 12 months.
Isn't that fascinating, though, in this particular case, that they one particular drug for one particular role or thing then uncovers the risks of a whole other family of
Of drug, yeah,
unconnected
that's right.
drugs? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. It's the whole suite of side effects or additional things and chemical reactions that it can cause. Now, after the suspected 100 deaths, they thought we'll take Posicor off the shelves. And in the FDA's own rather understated words, the complications with Posicor cannot be practically addressed by standard label warnings.
No.
They couldn't put 25 other drugs as a list of do not take if you are taking Plasosol, blah, 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 Sothaba, Bupidol, Bupaju, blah, blah, blah. The ad would go forever. Like, they
Yeah.
can't put that many things on there.
And
So,
that's saying something for the FDA and
exactly.
America.
They're like, oh, we can't just add it as a warning label? Okay, fair enough. Oh, 100 people have died in a year? Well, okay, we'll take it off the shelf. Godly. Okay. Here is my next segment for you all today. It is called FDA Approval Pending. FDA Approval Pending. Here's our list of classic home remedy / drug suggestions that I don't think they made the FDA's list, but approval's still pending.
Oh.
The first one I have for you is cigarettes.
Oh my God. Still pending.
Nah, it's not really. I'm just
Oh.
shitting ya. These are dumb ones that people used to do back in the gosh darn forever ago's. And the first one was in 1923, in which they were promoting cigarettes as a cure for asthma. Now, it is now common knowledge that they, in fact, do the opposite. And they do, in fact, cause asthma flare ups. In addition to asthma, cause a little thing called cancer, which is not great. So I've heard. Again, not a doctor. So cigarettes were advertised in 1923 as a way to cure your asthma, but since there's found out there's other better ways.
Yeah.
So that's
I think
our
so.
first one that's still pending approval on the FDA's list. The next one is Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup.
Oh,
I
I
kind
like
of
the
want,
sound of that.
yeah, I kind of want a little bit of Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup because it was a popular remedy for babies.
Uh-oh, here we
Now, if
go.
they were experiencing anything from teething to diarrhea, they could be treated with this. And it turns out they would be thrilled because it was made of a heavy percentage of alcohol and morphine.
Of course, babies are going to love that. I mean,
So they'd be thrilled. I think that's still on the pending approval list. The next one that I have for you is chloroform.
oh yeah,
What do
yeah.
you think chloroform was used to treat, Dom?
Wasn't it used to sedate people, like for to go into surgeries and all sorts of things? It was kind of like, maybe the way that we use laughing gas or things like that. It's like, feel a bit
Yes.
silly, knock you out, and then we can.
100%. That's right. Also used by murderers or people that want to abduct people
Sure.
because it knocks people out. However, back in 1934, they said in an advertisement in the newspaper that chloroform will completely relieve all your symptoms of asthma.
Oh my
Again,
God,
asthma's a big
toast.
one. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, this belief eventually resulted in the deaths of patients who, in fact, overdosed during an asthma attack. So they couldn't quite knock themselves out. So as to stop taking the chloroform, turns out they still had asthma.
I wonder whether this whole chloroformy thing, because isn't it, maybe not right now, Kate, because you've done so much research already, but my understanding chloroform and stuff is some sort of plant derivative, which is probably all drugs
It
or
could be.
majority of drugs.
Yeah.
But isn't things like eucalyptus and verbena and other like sort of, those quite potent, almost minty type things, they were meant to
Is
help
that
sort of open up the breathing?
chlorophyll?
Yeah.
Is it from that?
Oh,
No,
maybe.
I
I
don't
don't know.
know. I don't know enough about it. I've just looked up chloroform. It is a chemical. It's a chemical compound slash scientific number slash letters that happen after the word chloroform is CHCI3. It's a colorless liquid that quickly evaporates into gas. It can harm the eyes, skin, liver, kidneys, and nervous system. Chloroform can be toxic if inhaled or swallowed. Exposure to chloroform may also cause cancer. Workers may be harmed from exposure to chloroform.
Okay, not a good one.
No, no, I don't think that's a plant one. But
Okay.
I hear what you're saying. I feel like chlorophyll makes me think of plants. Let me
Yeah.
look up that. Chlorophyll, chlorophyllus, natural compound found in green plants that gives them their color. Also helps absorb energy from the sun as they undergo the process of photosynthesis. The nutrient is present in green vegetables and other plant-based foods like algae. There you
Okay,
go.
we'll save chlorophyll for when plants
Good news story.
go murderish.
That's right, exactly.
Okay, sorry to
Chloroform, though,
interrupt.
for asthma, no bueno.
No bueno.
The next treatment that is still currently being pending approval for the FDA, it could pass though. It's for hay fever, and it is cocaina. Yayo.
I've never
Many
heard of it.
believed, no, many believe that the allergy symptoms caused by pollen, also known as hay fever, could be alleviated with the application of cocaine, as described in an article. This was discovered not to be the case by Dr. George Frederick Laidlaw, a recognized leading pathologist of the homeopathic school in New York, is quoted in multiple articles saying, if you can't cure it without cocaine, you better keep the hay fever. Oh, thanks, Dr. George. Okay, my final pending approval from the
Mhm.
FDA. Now, this one, I'm not entirely sure why it hasn't been approved yet, but in 1899, there was a little known article that I would love to read to you if you'd allow me what's
Honor?
the word I'm saying? The honor. Yes, the absolute honor. Um, just loading. I did have it
I'm,
open on another page, but I messed it up.
I'm
Okay,
ready.
here we go. Finding. Where are you? Come here. Oh God, I can't find it now.
Come hither.
Where did it go? God. I'm just finding it. Everyone will just have
That's
to
all
wait.
right.
They just have to be patient. Oh, do you know what? It's actually in another page. Here it is. La 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 da 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 da. No, it's not there. This is why I needed to be more prepared. But I was prepared. But where is it?
You were prepared.
I found it. All right. I don't understand why this. Can we just cut that bit out where it took me
Yes.
500 years to find that?
Don't worry. It's
Okay.
gone.
A cure for rheumatism or rheumatoid arthritis. Dominic, what could it possibly be in
This is a
1899?
big one.
It is a big one.
Weed.
Oh,
Marijuana?
you are so close. It's a whale. This article from this newspaper from 1899 has the headline Whale Cure for Rheumatism. It is said that in Australia there is a hotel where rheumatism patients congregate. Whenever a whale has been taken, the patients are rowed over to the works where the animal is cut up. The whalers dig a narrow grave in the body, and in this, the patient lies for 2 hours, as in like a Turkish bath, the decomposing blubber of the whale closing around his body and acting as a huge poultice. This is known as the whale cure for rheumatism.
Oh my God. I mean, what's the like? Oh, Granny, she's having a bit of hard time moving. Better go kill a whale and shove her in it like Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, 100%. Now, let me ask you. This was discovered by someone, Dom. Now, this is in Australia. It's in New South Wales. It's actually
Of
not
course.
far from the Victoria-New South Wales border up in the east coast of Australia. Now, tell me, how do you think this was discovered? Now, the two bays it's a whaling. There's a whaling station there. How do you think someone discovered this by being inside of a whale? How do you think it happened?
Okay, it's either two things.
Okay.
Either someone got, a bunch of mates got really fucking drunk and someone was just like, I dare you, Jimmy. Now, Bazza, get in and see how far
See
you
what
can get in
happened.
a whale carcass.
Yep.
Or, and I hate to say it, but someone went down the like sexual perverted
Oh,
route.
okay. Yeah. Well, Dom, you didn't need two guesses because you got it in one. The way that this was discovered was a drunken man who was staggering along the beach near the whaling station at Twofold Bay, saw the dead whale cut open, and just took a header straight into the decomposing blubber. And when he got out of it, which God knows how long that took him, he was like, "Do you know what? My knees feel fantastic." I don't think it's the 100 gallons of beer that I've had before this. It's definitely because I just slipped headfirst into a whale carcass and now my arthritis is cured.
Can you imagine that some dickhead did that and somehow it became known as the
Oh,
whale cure?
it's so good. How's that as a bar story? Like he goes to the bar the next day and he goes, You might not believe what actually happened to me last night. I
I'm going to
was
remember that.
walking down the beach and I slipped into a whale and I feel great today. So why don't you guys give it a red hot crack? Then people they actually had the whale hotel. So people would go specific travel from all around to stay at the whale hotel to be rowed out to a whale and just plonked inside a little hole of a carcass and then just like a
Okay.
sauna.
Humans, you are stupid.
Oh,
We are
Barb, this
doomed.
is so lovely. How are your knuckles feeling? Do you reckon you can make a fist again, Dal? I'd be thrilled if you could. All right? Oh yeah, good on you, Dal.
Oh, so stupid.
Oh, oh my gosh. The final thing that I want to leave you with is actually going to be an extra recording that we're going to do because we've got our patrons that deserve a little special. So we're going to record a really quick little epi. In the late 1740s, John Wesley is a British evangelist and he was a co-founder of Methodism. He
Mhm.
published a book which is called Primitive Physic. Now, if you don't get done by the name, let me tell you how physics spelled. Physick, physic. And the name of the book is An Easy and Natural Method of Curing Most Diseases. If you are interested in listening to that, you have to sign up to our Patreon. And if you are interested in listening to that and you've already signed up to our Patreon, go find it because we're going to put it up there.
All right. Well, I guess that's the end of the normal episode. So,
That's it.
Kate, well done. That
Thank you.
was um, very educational and eye-opening.
I was blown away by the decomposing blubber man. I thought that was pretty special. Pretty
Yeah,
special.
that's the icing on the cake, so
Yeah,
to
and still
speak.
pending FDA approval, surprisingly. Absolutely gag-gooped. Can't believe it.
All right. Well, okay, folks. Please, drugs are serious, and
Oh my God. Have you looked at the
s-
football score?
yeah, I did.
Oh, jeepers creepers.
Speak to a doctor. Don't listen to Kate
Yes.
and I.
No. And if you, have any concerns, ask Chat GPT. They're all
Yeah,
about it. They got the
it's it.
knowledge. They'll get you onto the places you need to be.
Yeah, and it seems like they have some morals and ethics, and they're not going to teach you anything you shouldn't.
Exactly. But for our regular listeners, love you. See you soon. And for our patrons, see you even sooner. Bow.
Ba-ba-boo!
Shabba-dibba-dow. Love you.
Oh, hello, Kate.
Hi, Dom. How do you do?
Good. I just got back from the whale spa, and my back
Oh,
is feeling
are
fabulous.
you just feeling outstanding?
Yep,
Well,
could run a marathon.
I wrapped a hanky around my nose and I've been just huffing chloroform non-stop to cure my asthma and I am feeling excellent.
Oh, well, there's not much longer to our survival here, folks. So
No,
we
that's
should
very
jump
true.
into Kate's extra special Patreon only, Bricky
Welcome.
only.
Welcome. Welcome to our
Awesome.
brickies. Welcome to our patrons. I alluded to having a bit of a chat about some home remedy cures. Get your notepads, get your pens, because I feel like some of these are going to be very handy. Now, Dom, I know at some point we asked each other, it was for one of our Instagram stories or our posts, but it was about home remedies.
Yes.
And if I recall correctly, yours was a soup. Did you do soup, or am I just making this up?
I would always have like spicy pumpkin soup
Yeah,
for like
nice.
a cold and things like that. But I
Yeah,
guess like chicken noodle soup as well. Most people would probably relate to that one.
yes,
Yeah.
agreed. Any other remedies? I feel I've forgotten the other one. I feel like you had two.
I mean, like lemon and ginger
Yeah.
does a body good.
Yep. Yep.
I definitely do that for colds and things like that.
Nice.
And wasn't yours a very well known household cleaning product?
As in, like Windex?
Yes. Oh, no.
It wasn't. It wasn't, but it's so close.
That was Kane.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Kane swears that his
They
mum.
swear by it.
No, when he was a kid, and kids just like they get all dramatic about like something, and they're just his mum would come along and just spray some Windex and be like, it's magic
Perfect.
spray.
I
You
love
clean
it.
it.
It's the my big fat Greek wedding cure.
That's it.
Yeah. No, I'm very much a Vicks on the feet and put a pair of socks on.
Oh, that's good.
That's yeah, absolutely no. I don't know if there's any, but I swear by it. Mind over matter. We were talking in an episode earlier about mind over matter. So if you do something and you believe it, then why the hell not?
Tiger Balm?
Yes, Tiger Balm fixes everything. Don't put it inside ya
No.
because it'll feel like a tiger bit ya.
It's called Tiger Balm, not Tiger
Ti-
Bite.
Tiger Balm, not Tiger Bum. Do not put it there. Heads up. All right. This segment for our patrons. Hello, patrons. God, we love you. You're just beautiful. This segment I had initially titled in my script as Legitty Nah. So that's how I remember what I'm up to, as I just put headings of sections so that I know where I'm going. So Legitty Nah. Just put
Ba-bam.
nah. Legitty question mark? Nah. Dot dot dot. Nah. Forget it. It's not legitty. In the late 1740s, John Wesley, he's a British evangelist and the co-founder of Methodism, published Primitive Physic, or an easy and natural method of curing most diseases. This tome gave regular people ways to cure themselves with natural remedies using items they could find in their own homes. I want to share these with you, Dom, because
This
in the late 1740s, I think they're going to have different stuff around their house than we did. But I'm going to share it with you, with our patrons. Let's get into it. Now, when in doubt, before I get into some of the specific ailments from which you suffer, when in doubt, Wesley thought that drinking cold water or taking cold baths could cure most illnesses. And by most illnesses, yes, I do in fact include breast cancer in that,
oh,
as John Wesley thought. Some of his suggestions, like using chamomile tea to soothe an upset stomach, have survived today. Other natural remedies he whipped up, however, are a little bit odd. So,
suspect.
yeah, I don't know that I'll be doing a lot of them. But I also liked it. He gets in a bit of a sort of theme of them as well, which I kind of really like. So give me one sec to make sure I have the right page. Oh my God, primitive remedies. God bless you. All right. The first one I want to share with you is I've got like 8, 9 of them for you. So I don't want to
Oh,
overload you with too many. A lot were very similar. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to cut it down to the good ones. Number
yeah, the
one,
juicy ones.
do you have an ague, Dom?
No.
For our listeners, he was looking at his crotchal space. Gross. Now, to cure an ague, you'd need to know what it is first.
Yep.
Wesley describes an ague as an intermittent fever, each fit of which is preceded by cold shivering and goes off in a sweat. Now, if at any point it sounds like I'm not being grammatically correct or using old-timey language, it's because it's directly quoted from the book. So hang out with me here. There are many natural remedies for curing it, but all must be preceded by taking a gentle vomit, which which, if taken 2 hours before the fit, because you know when they're coming,
Mm,
Wesley says it will generally prevent it and may even cure the ague. If the vomiting fails, however, so if you've done a gentle vomit and then it didn't work, Wesley suggests wearing a bag of groundsel, which is a weed, on the pit of the stomach, renewing it 2 hours before the fit. The weed, now there's a specific way to prepare said weed. It should be shredded small, and the side of the bag facing the skin should have holes in it.
okay.
Okay. Now, should this not work, then Wesley suggests a remedy that requires a stronger stomach. You need to make a mix of things. So, have you got these things around your house, Dom? You make
Sure.
6 middling pills. This is fucking made up, Maggie. Liz, this shit's made up. Okay, make 6 middling pills of cobwebs. Take one a little before the cold fit, two a little before the next fit. The other three, if need be, a little before the third fit. I
Fucking
never
hell.
knew this to fail. What is a middling pill?
I'd just say it's like grab a bunch of cobwebs, roll it all up into a little ball
Oh,
so it's
yes.
pill size,
Got you. Okay, 6 of them. All right.
maybe.
That was like a fold in the cheese moment. Like Moira David's like, what is a middling pill? You just middle the pill, David. Can't. I don't have any cobwebs. Okay, so there's your ague cured. Is everyone happy to move on? If you've got another type of ailment, I might be able to help you.
Feeling good.
Dr.
What's my
Kate in the
next one?
house. Well, Dom, do you have a canine appetite?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Now, Dr. Wesley, no, false. Wesley turns to Dr. Scomberg, another made up name, for the cure to this condition. Also, when I'm saying made up, guys, this is legit. This
Yeah.
is, but it was released in the 1740s. So don't, I haven't just made up words and slammed them all together. I didn't get Chat GPT to write a story that
It wouldn't be
included.
this bad.
No, exactly. Now, Wesley turned to Dr. Scomberg for the cure for this condition, which is the canine appetite, which is defined by Wesley as an insatiable desire of eating. If if there's no vomiting, Wesley loves a spew. Canine appetite is often cured by a small bit of bread dipped in wine and applied in the nostrils.
Oh,
So you would have thought, oh, I mean, that's okay, a bit of bread, and then you dip it in some wine and you eat it to try to settle the stomach, or try and just eat that and that's it. No, you just shove it up your nose, and that'll stop you from having a canine appetite.
those late night munchies bothering you folks? Get a good sourdough and red wine up your schnoz.
just shove it right up your snoozle. All right, number 3. Do you need to cure your asthma, Dom, but you haven't got any chloroform lying around?
Just ran out.
Oh, bugger. You just need tar water, seawater, nettle juice, and quicksilver. That's
I've,
all.
I've heard of nettles.
That's probably seawater's probably the only one I'm down with. Now
Nettle
they're all
soup.
acceptable. They're all acceptable cures for what Wesley calls, and I don't like the name of this, moist asthma.
Ooh.
Now, moist asthma is categorized by a difficulty of breathing that the patient spits a lot. I don't like that at
I don't
all.
like spitting.
Now, the if you haven't got your tar water, seawater, nettle juice, quicksilver, now you can take those individually or all together. I don't care. But a method that seldom fails if you have no luck with those. Wesley says that if you just live on boiled carrots for a fortnight, you'd be cured.
Oh,
So
God.
hook into your boiled carrots. Happy days. Next on my list of cures is not mine, Wesley's, to prevent or cure a nosebleed. Don, what would you do if you have a nosebleed?
As someone that suffered from a lot of bloody noses as a
You
child,
did, didn't you? Did you have to get like your things zapped?
yeah, I had
Ah,
lots of very exposed. capillaries.
Yeah,
So
vessels and stuff, whatever.
not that I picked my nose any more than anybody else, but
Nah, I do recall that though. You would just be sitting there, and then all of a sudden it'd just be like bang. You had quite a hectic nosebleed.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's a cure for you. Aside from the fact that you had proper medical attention and care, the other way is drinking whey and eating raisins every day. Wesley says that that can help prevent nosebleeds. Other methods for preventing or curing the phenomena include holding a red hot poker under the nose, so not in your nose, because that's basically what you ended up getting done anyway with the laser things, but in a much more civilized manner.
Yeah.
You just hold it under your nose, and steeping a linen rag in sharp vinegar, burning it, and blowing it up the nose with a quill.
I wonder if that just
Blocks it.
reduces the size of your capillaries or something. Like
Yeah.
maybe it, I could guess it could technically work, but there's
Yeah,
better ways. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. All right, next is to cure a cold in the head. Now, this one's very easy. This is rudimentary, Dom. Getting rid of this common ailment. Simples, according to Wesley. Just pare very thin the yellow rind of an orange.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you roll it up inside out and you thrust a roll inside each nostril.
Sure.
Done. Just shove some orange up your schnoz and you'll be cured. Okay, number 6. To cure, this one was great. Oh, to cure white specks in the eye. Now, Dom, if I said to you, I have white specks in my eye, what would you be thinking about?
Stay away from your fucking eyes.
Yes, don't
Don't
put
touch
things
them.
in your eyes. I think what Wesley was actually referring to are your little eye floaters that everybody has.
Yeah,
Those little
absolutely.
squiggles, the little dealy whackers that turn up. Now, it's unclear in this book what exactly those white specks in the eye are, but that, yeah, we think the floaters. Wesley suggests that when you're going to bed, put a little bit of earwax on the speck. This has cured many.
Ugh.
So, what, like on your actual eyeball, you put earwax, or is it on the outside, or are these little white specks around your eye? It's very unclear. But if you've got that condition and you want to cure it, earwax. Simples. Simples as.
I'm not a fan of earwax.
Neither. Number 7. To cure the falling sickness. I like this one. Those who suffer from this illness fall to the ground, either quite stiff or convulsed or over, utterly senseless, gnashing his teeth and foaming at the mouth. This condition sounds a lot like epilepsy to me.
Yeah.
To cure the condition, Wesley recommends an entire milk diet for 3 months. It rarely fails.
Oh, yuck.
I don't know about that. Now, during the fits, though, Wesley's instructed anybody around just to blow a little bit of powdered ginger up the snoz.
There's a lot of nasal exploration here.
Correct. There is a lot of nasal exploration. And I like how it says it rarely fails. So
Yeah.
if you've got people that are like, nah, it didn't work, mate. And you're like, well, I said rarely fails. Like it means it fails occasionally. So maybe you were just the only person it didn't work for.
Have you tried some bread and wine or some lemon peel?
Yeah. Have you put anything up your nose? Because obviously it's not working. Like if you didn't put anything up your schnoz. All right. Number 8, to cure a toothache. We had our episode last week, which is about dentists. And I think that a few of those dentists probably could have taken a leaf out of Wesley's book and, instead of doing actual dental procedures, they could have used this. So Wesley firstly suggests that you are electrified through the tooth.
Okay, Kate, I
So,
don't know if that was a great suggestion.
so that's the first one. But look, he does understand that might be a little bit too extreme for some. So if that is too extreme for you, then Wesley goes on to suggest you rub the cheek for a quarter of an hour,
Oh,
or you put a clove of garlic. Where are you putting the clove of garlic, Dom? Actually,
schnoz.
this one is in your ear.
Oh my
It
god.
can't hurt to put it up your nose as well. So rub your cheek for 15 minutes and shove some garlic in your ear and nose. and you are cured of your toothache.
Now, look, garlic has been proven to be a very powerful antiseptic,
Yes.
but I don't know if ear is the right place to deal with
Uh, no.
teeth.
Yeah, no. Also, you wouldn't want to be putting cloves of garlic into your ear because the cloves, they are all different sizes. And ears are different sizes. And if you get a I wonder if the next cure he has is for garlic stuck in the ear because
Yeah,
that's bound to happen. Or
exactly.
nose pain. Do you have anything for nose pain? Because you asked me to shove so much shit up there that I'm now suffering from headaches.
How are you supposed to get access to your earwax to deal with the
Yes,
eye floaties if you've got garlic in your ear?
precisely. Precisely. Now, Dom, that was number 8 on my fancy list of home remedies. To our beautiful patrons, Patreons, patronosses, we
Mm,
hope you have enjoyed a little tiny baby bubby little extra special episode for yourselves. We love you guys so much. Just keep
yes.
being you, keep being real. And we will endeavor to get more content out to you, Betty. Soon we're putting together a bit of an idea of what we want to do.
Yeah,
Oh, we love
and
you.
stay tuned for next week.
Yeah, love you guys. Bye.
More.